So the Chiefs barely beat the now 3-8 Panthers by 3 points, and it took a game-winning drive by Patrick Mahomes and company in order to even pull off the W. Well, this has many saying the Chiefs are basically frauds for not blowing out a team they probably should have. And while the narrow victory over Carolina comes with plenty of concerns, the truth of the matter is it's hard to win in the NFL week in and week out, and nobody has been able to pull this off more than the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's get into this game recap versus the Panthers, including my biggest concerns, a little bit of optimism, and key takeaways. But first, how about those? Alright, so today's video is sponsored by Fabletics, but more on them later because this game against the Panthers was certainly something. On paper, it was a mismatch on both sides of the ball. Chiefs should clearly have won this game, maybe even dominated, but that's far from how things played out. A few guys had some pretty rough performances, with Nate Taylor of The Athletic reporting that the team was basically not happy, seemingly somber after the game in the locker room based on the way things went down. Yes, it was a win, but reportedly several Chiefs defenders left the locker room with their heads bowed. Mahomes wasn't chatty with teammates as he usually was. The pass game coordinator, Joe Blameyer, shook his head in frustration when making eye contact with the reporters. So what went wrong, and why did a 3-point win to so many almost feel like a loss? Well, let's get into it, along with the reasons why as we dive into this game. Recap and takeaways. The Panthers won the toss and deferred, and to open the game, running back Samaje Perine actually had an incredible return. He didn't quite house it, but he was pretty close, bringing them all the way to the Panthers' 41-yard line. Then after back-to-back Kareem Hunt runs set up a 3rd and 4, Noah Gray got wide open, all the way wide open, and caught a 35-yarder, walking it in for a touchdown. And there was definitely some sort of broken coverage on that one, but we're definitely going to take it. So a quick strike from KC's offense in just a minute and a half let Bryce Young and company get their first go. Well, Young hit veteran David Moore. Remember that name because he lit up the box score in this one. He caught a pass for 15 yards on 3rd and 2. Then on the very next play, Young hit the rookie Xavier Legette for 34 yards with Justin Reed trailing closely behind in coverage. And honestly, it was after this play that I thought, so this is how the game's gonna go, huh? Bryce Young is about to have a career game, similar to Zach Wilson with the Jets having a career game against the Chiefs. It was either last year or the year before that. But either way, I just had a feeling this was how it was going to go. And this was in part due to the secondary struggling in coverage. We'll get to that. But also due to the front four of the D-line not being able to get home. And that play was a perfect example of Bryce Young having all the time in the world. That man was almost roasting marshmallows back there in the pocket as that play developed. A Hubbard run then got Carolina inside the 10, but a false start the play after next set up a 3rd and 8 that sailed over the head of Adam Thielen to force a field goal, making it 3-7, Chiefs up by 4. Kareem Hunt then had a nice catch, as did D-Hop for a first down. Kelce then exploded for 19 yards, catching a quick one and turning upfield, showing some nice yak yards after the catch ability, something we don't see as often from him these days. But that catch and run by Kelce officially had him surpassing the legend Antonio Gates for the 3rd most receiving yards by a tight end in NFL history. Gates had 11,841 yards, and Kelce finished the day with 11,897. And he has a ways to go if he wants to pass Jason Witten. And then honestly, I'm not sure anyone ever touches the 15,127 yards set by Tony Gonzalez in his career, but still, that is just yet another stat to show the greatness of Travis Kelce. Anyway, Hunt then moved the chains on 3rd and 1 with Juju bringing them inside the 10 up the right sideline. Carolina's defense held strong though, with Mahomes having nobody open and nowhere to go on 3rd down. And this set up a 25-yard chip shot from arguably one of the most important players of the day in the newly signed Spencer Schrader. Next up, the holidays are right around the corner, and if you are looking for some quality festive fits, cozy accessories, sweats, like the go-to straight leg sweats that I'm wearing right now, the most comfortable sweats I've ever owned, or even everyday activewear in new festive prints for every holiday moment, then look no further than to today's sponsor, Fabletics. They have all kinds of premium quality clothing that you can customize to your own style and preferences and get it all shipped right to your front door. I got a bunch of pieces and outfits from them in, and the one jogger pants were really comfortable and paired nicely with the one jacket. The essential puffer vest jacket made me feel way cooler than I really am. I got several of the one shorts that fit great, Very comfortable, love the zipper pockets and will be my new go-tos. And then I even got some new quality boxers and socks that I'm definitely not wearing on camera. There's also all kinds of accessories that they offer, from hats, backpacks, and so much more. Now, a way to save even more is by signing up as a VIP. That actually gets you a pretty wild intro offer of 80% off the whole site, including jackets. Then the monthly membership gives you 1 credit for a 2-piece outfit or any product up to $100, up to 50% off retail prices on every item, VIP exclusive sales, plus early access to drops, free access to the Fabletics Fit app to enjoy workout classes, and the membership is also flexible, meaning you can skip any month between the 1st and 5th without being charged. So make sure to go to fabletics.com/HBTC to get $24 onesies, if that's your thing, plus 80% off the whole site when signing up to be a VIP. Then after a couple Bryce Young scrambles, he found the savvy vet Adam Thielen wide open on a nice play design, and he turned upfield for 36 yards. This was the second drive where Carolina very easily got into the red zone after this 12-yard jet sweep from Tompkins. But thankfully, this is also the second drive the Chiefs' defense held them to a field goal. George Karlaftis nearly got to Young on first down. Chuba Hubbard couldn't haul in this pass on second, and Young overthrew his target on third. So a second field goal from Pinheiro made it 6-10. Chiefs up 4. A rare drop by Justin Watson set up 3rd and 5, but Patrick pump faked and used his legs, something he did multiple times in this game, to scramble up the middle for 9 and a valuable first down. The following play, Travis Kelce caught a crosser for 27 yards, and Worthy caught a nice quick pass for 6 on 3rd and 5 to move the chains. Then, this was interesting, but McCole Hardman lined up in Wildcat, opting to take the ball. It was an option. I think he could have handed it off, but he kept it, taking it upfield, up the middle, himself for 9 yards. McCole was honestly pretty impactful in this game in his very limited usage. It was just 2 carries for 15 yards, but they were both impressive enough as he broke some tackles. Something I wasn't impressed with, though, was the amount of flags the Chiefs offense started to collect. A hold on Joe Thuney moved them back 10. Then on 3rd and 11, a defensive hold gave Casey a first down. But have no fear, because more flags are here. Trey Smith got hit with the false start. A blown-up screen then set up 2nd and 18. Then Juju Smith-Schuster got flagged for a hold, and ultimately Casey had to settle for a 41-yard field goal after Mahomes got sacked. This made it 13-6, Chiefs up by 7, but that was yikes with the penalties, and trust me, they did not end there. With Bryce Young and company trailing by 7, he finally got as Mike Dana exploded on 2nd and 7 to force a fumble, and while Carolina did recover, it was a loss of 14, creating a deficit they couldn't overcome, and the result was the first punt of the day after 4 straight field goals from both teams, plus obviously the Chiefs' touchdown. The Chiefs then made the Panthers pay for punting the ball, with D-Hop and Justin Watson both catching first down passes. P. Ryan then ran for one. Noah Gray snagged the next one. Then Wanya Morris got scorched and Mahomes got sacked. Some magic happened on 3rd and 13, though, with Mahomes scrambling, taking the hit, and fully extending for the first. P. Ryan shed a tackle on a quick catch and run for the next first, and Hardman once again broke a tackle. Shortly after that, though, KC found themselves facing another 3rd down in the red zone, and I was just watching like, please, God, not another field goal. Well, Mahomes identified pre-snap that the Panthers were bringing pressure, alerting his pass catchers, and Noah Gray took advantage of that as Mahomes floated up this nicely placed pass to Gray, and he hauled it in. This is pretty crazy. Noah Gray has never had a multi-touchdown game until last week against Buffalo, and he did it again in this one. That's back-to-back games with 2 touchdowns, 4 on the season for him, which has him tied for the most receiving touchdowns on the team with Xavier Worthy. It's safe to say that I'm glad the Chiefs extended Gray earlier during the season, which is going to keep him around for years to come. After that score, KC was up 20-6 with under a minute left to go in the half. So of course Bryce Young lofts up a 28-yard pass to Jatavian Sanders with Nazeeh Johnson close in coverage. The very next play was another chunk play for 21 yards with Chamari Connor making the tackle, and then Jatavian Sanders helped them move the chains again to bring Carolina inside the 10. And I'm just going to be honest, the fact that this defense let them move all the way down into the red zone like that once again in roughly 30 seconds, you had under a minute to go in the half, they got all the way inside the 10 in 30 seconds. I mean, that is a wee bit concerning, to say the least. I'll touch more on that in a bit, though, because someone else everybody got concerned about after that play was actually the tight end that caught that pass, Jatavian Sanders. He basically bounced off of his head on that play, injuring his neck and needing to be carted off the field. He was then taken to a local hospital, and while it was tough, he wasn't able to return to play or anything like that. The good news is he was eventually released from the hospital and reportedly has movement in all his extremities, which is about the best case or best news you can hope for at this point in time based on how that hit looked and him bouncing off of his head like that. After this, though, Kelce did hold strong in the red zone with the Panthers kicking a field goal after 3 straight incompletions, and that made it 9-20 at the half. The thing is, they got the ball back to start the third quarter and proceeded to carve up the Chiefs' defense like a Thanksgiving turkey. Again, they led an 8.5-minute drive. 15 plays going 70 yards. David Moore once again got involved, caught a 12-yard pass for a first down with McDuffie draped all over him. Leggett caught the next one, and Hubbard had his longest run of the day for 13 yards here. Moore caught another pass for 14 yards, and at this point, I'm just shaking my head watching this game because I realize that KC's defense might have a little bit of a problem here. The same tactic Josh Allen used, targeting largely pass catchers that were not Trent McDuffie out there in coverage, seemed to be working. Now, to be fair, McDuffie struggled at times in this one as well, and you also do need to give some credit to Bryce Young. He was making good throws, but this is statistically one of the worst offenses in the league, and they were slicing and dicing this defense apart and making it almost look easy. Nazeeh Johnson made a nice tackle to prevent Hubbard on an outside run, but they were able to get just enough to move the chains on 4th and 1 and would not be denied in spite of a McDuffie PBU on 1st and goal. He was then targeted again the very next play with David Moore getting the score. So that had you trailing by 5, and Carolina opted to go for 2 because if you get that, it's just a 3-point game. And Justin Reed blew up this Adam Thielen catch for an incompletion. I mean, lit this man up, but he got flagged for unnecessary roughness, and Carolina ended up, long story short, kicking a field goal, or rather making an extra point to make it a 4-point game. I mean, on that play there with Justin Reed, many disagreed with the flag, but his helmet did kind of brush up against Thielen, so I guess you could technically flag it, but the Chiefs get all the calls, right? Anyway, midway through the third quarter, the Chiefs were only up by 4, but Mahomes would find Worthy for 19 yards. Then on 3rd and 5, he used his legs again, sprawling out for the first, but was just shy. So on 4th and 1, the old faithful Kareem Hunt carried the ball for 13 yards. An unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on that play, I believe, afterwards got them even closer to the goal line. And on 2nd and goal, Mahomes danced around, moving up in the pocket and fired a bullet to a wide open, very QB-friendly receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, for the touchdown. He has 3 on the season with the Chiefs and has only played in 5 games, so you do love to see it. Hopkins didn't exactly light up the scoreboard either. He caught 5 passes on 6 targets for 35 yards. However, of those 5 catches, 4 were for a first down and 1 was that touchdown catch. So all of his touches were extremely valuable, and his usage and value should only go up as the season moves along, or especially it's going to go up in the playoffs. From there, Hubbard then converted a 3rd and 2 on the ground, and on the next 3rd down, a 3rd and 8, Spags sent the house, and in spite of Young getting leveled as he threw, he connected with David Moore, you guessed it, for 17 yards with B. Cook on him in coverage. That's yet another 3rd and long converted, a trend we have seen kind of carry over from last week against the Bills. Mike Pennell was then flagged for a personal foul. Please don't do that again, and that moved Carolina once again into the red zone. Thankfully, the defense held them to a field goal, and Pinheiro kicked his 4th of the day, and that made it 19-27. Panthers trailing by 8. The Chiefs offense then proceeded to stall out. After scoring points on their first 4 drives, they punted for the first time all game. It was honestly an embarrassing series. It started off fine. Hunt ran for 12 yards, and then they converted a tough 3rd and 1 with Hunt to bring them to midfield, where they then snagged another first down, which was great to see him get involved. But then disaster struck. Jawan Taylor got flagged on back-to-back plays, once for holding and once for illegal hands to the face. And then on 3rd and 22, a J.C. Horn CB blitz off the edge went untouched. I don't know if Juju was supposed to help there or what happened, but he went untouched on that blitz. Mahomes was sacked yet again, this time for a loss of 12 to set up 4th and 34. Ariza then punted for the first time of the game with 8 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. And while Bryce Young did scramble for 11 yards to open up this drive, Kelce was able to get them to stall finally on 3rd and 7. Pressure caused them to scramble right, and tight coverage forced him to just throw it away, and they had to punt. And honestly, at this point, I was feeling pretty good because the Chiefs were up 8 with 4.5 minutes to go, and they were getting the ball back. Well, after a 4-yard Kareem Hunt run, KC surprisingly ran a pass play. Mahomes rolled out left. The problem is nobody was open, so he opted to slide down and force the clock to keep running. It forced a Panthers timeout ultimately, but he lost 6 yards in the process. Then on 3rd and 12, Wanye got beat on the edge, forcing Mahomes to step up in the pocket. The problem was the other side of the line kind of got broken as well. Trey Smith fell over, and the pocket collapsed as Mahomes was sacked yet again to force a 3-and-out. Carolina burned 2 timeouts, but they had 1 remaining plus the 2-minute warning with 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go. On top of that, that punt return plus a special teams penalty on the Chiefs put the Panthers at midfield. Leggett couldn't haul in this pass down the left side, thank God, but it didn't matter because he caught a quick one on 3rd down to set up a 4th and 3. The Panthers ended up going for it. Obviously, you're down by 8. You need a touchdown. Spags sent the house again, and Adam Thielen abused Chamari Connor one-on-one on an out route to move the chains. The very next play, Young took a shot, scrambling right into the end zone, and Chamari Connor, never got his head turned around, and this, of course, drew a flag for pass interference and moved the Panthers all the way to the 1-yard line with Chuba Hubbard pounding the rock in for an easy 1-yard score. Well, that meant the Panthers just needed to get the 2-point conversion and they could actually tie this game up after being down 16-27. Well, on that 2-point attempt, Trent McDuffie got flagged for pass interference, mainly because Bryce Young underthrew his pass. Karlaftis and I believe it was Turk Wharton were honing in on him, and Young had to throw up a rather underthrown prayer off of his back leg. But because of that, his intended receiver, David Moore, you guessed it, tried to come back for the ball, and McDuffie ended up getting flagged for pass interference. Well, that led to a retry from the 1, and Hubbard got it done, making a nice cut left and plowing his way in. Chris Jones did get there to try to make the stop, but couldn't stop him alone, and the result was 27-all, a tie game with just under 2 minutes to go. The problem was that amount of time combined with KC having all 3 timeouts is basically an eternity for Mahomes and company. Kelce caught one for 8, then Mahomes took a shot down the field to Worthy. It was underthrown, no flag for pass interference, so that was 3rd and 2, but D-Hop caught a laser right side to move the chains, and on the very next play, Mahomes did what he often does during this times, and he used his legs, scrambling up the left side for 33 yards, and that brought them all the way up to the 21-yard line. Shout out to Justin Watson on this play too, because he made not 1, but 2 blocks to allow this one to go for as far as it did. Kareem Hunt then caught a quick pass, moving his way all the way up to the 13-yard line, and this allowed Kansas City to call a timeout with 2 minutes to go in the game, and the newly acquired Spencer Schrader knocked in the 31-yard game-winning field goal. Chiefs win, moving to 10-1 on the year, while the Panthers slide to 3-8. However, nobody was really joyous about such a close win against a team the Chiefs were favored to beat by 11.5. And from here, we got to talk about this, the good, the bad, and the ugly takeaways from this game, because there's plenty to talk about. I think the most obvious concern here, or at least one of the biggest, is going to be the fact that the Chiefs defense allowed an offense that heading into this game was averaging just 16 points per game to put up 27 on them. The run defense was fine. They are one of the best in the NFL against the run. That held true once again on Sunday, with Chuba Hubbard just averaging 3.6 yards per carry. Heading into this game, though, he was averaging 5.1 on the season. The pass defense, however, struggled pretty badly in this game. B. Cook gave up 2 catches for 32 yards. Justin Reed gave up 4 catches on 4 targets for 86. Chamari Connor also gave up 4 catches on 4 targets for 45 more. Then McDuffie uncharacteristically gave up 4 catches on 5 targets for 31 yards and that touchdown, then had a couple of flags thrown his way as well, including that 2-point conversion. Nazeeh Johnson was by far the most targeted guy, allowing 3 catches on 8 targets for 41 yards. A couple of those targets were dropped, so good. I'm glad. Could have been worse, but it's safe to say that teams are honing in on numbers out there more often than not that are anything but number 22. This isn't helped by the fact that the D-line has trouble getting home to the quarterback. Chris Jones is still dominant, boasting a pressure win percentage of 22.9 and had 5 pressures yesterday, in spite of being double-teamed quite a bit. Turk Wharton was next at 11.5% of a pressure win percentage and had 4 pressures, which was the same as George Karlaftis, at least in pressures, who also had 4. In spite of that, Bryce was only sacked twice and seemed to have plenty of time on several key plays to go through his reads. Then when there was no time, i.e. when Spags sent players on a blitz, Bryce found some pretty favorable one-on-one matchups and threw for the second most yards in his young NFL career. David Moore, Adam Thielen, Xavier Legette, and Jatavian Sanders, who only played one half of football, they all had 49 yards or more, which is a bit of an eyebrow raiser. So I can only hope that Joshua Uche, the newly traded for guy that's been here a month or so now, gets worked in a bit more, and also that the return of Charles Omenihu will add more juice to the D-line overall. Omenihu should be back for this game against the Raiders on Friday, allegedly, reportedly, same with Pacheco. But a more effective D-line, after all, should only help the secondary out, and it's no secret that the team misses Jalen Watson. There's a bunch of metrics out there that have showed how much the Chiefs' defense has struggled since Watson got placed on IR. He's out for the season, broke his ankle, not coming back. And for reasons I do not know as an outsider, Joshua Williams seems to have fallen out of favor, and Nazeeh Johnson is clearly the next man up. Nate Taylor of The Athletic made it seem like the Chiefs are prioritizing Nazeeh, giving him as much experience as possible before the playoffs. He's definitely been picked on the most of the bunch over the last couple of weeks, but some forget that he's only had 4 starts on defense his entire career. He was primarily a special teamer his rookie year, tore his ACL in training camp last year, and here we are heading into week 12, or week 13 rather, of the NFL season, and it's only going to be start number 5 for him this Friday. So growing pains are definitely going to really be there. You're going to have to work through them. Some want the Chiefs to bring in a free agent, though, and I guess I won't rule it out completely, considering they just did that for an offensive tackle, which I'll get to here in a moment. But Xavier Howard is still out there and available. He just met with a team, I think, last week, though his off-the-field issues from earlier this year do bring me some pause. But as of right now, your guess is as good as mine, if they will actually bring somebody in or not. But right now, they're going to be rolling with who they have out there. I just hope the combination of the defensive backs from Justin Reed, Brian Cook, safety Chamari Connor to Nazeeh Johnson, and even McDuffie himself, based on this past game overall, had an off day, and it's only up from here. The Panthers were fresh off the bye week for what it's worth, so maybe that did play a bit of a factor, as the Chiefs were then not off a bye week, but did have back-to-back road games from Buffalo to Carolina. The next concern, though, is definitely going to be the offensive line. It was a rough one for both tackles. I mean, Wanya has been playing decent, as has Jawan Taylor, if he's not getting flagged, but this one was an ugly one for both, and they weren't even going up against an elite defensive line. No offense to the Panthers. In spite of that, Jawan Taylor gave up 5 pressures and was flagged twice, while Wanya gave up 4 pressures and was flagged once himself. And this helped result in Mahomes getting sacked 5 times, which now makes 15 sacks. That's 15 times he's been sacked in the last 4 games alone. And I would be much more concerned about the O-line if the Chiefs didn't just sign free agent offensive tackle DJ Humphries. That was made official today. He passed his physical. So there we go. It's very exciting. But in spite of that, it's still going to take him some time, a few weeks probably, to get ramped up. Outside of that, I thought the Chiefs' offense was pretty awesome. Mahomes was 27 of 37 for 269 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt had 16 carries for 68 yards, an average of 4.3 a run, plus 3 catches for 19 more. What a day for Kareem Hunt, and what a free agent signing he was. I'm very excited to have him and Pacheco out there together sometime here very soon. Then Noah Gray, he led the room, catching 4 passes for 66 and 2 more touchdowns. Back-to-back weeks of 2 scores is incredible. Followed by Travis Kelce having 6 catches for 62 yards. We already went over D-Hop having 5 catches, but 4 of them were for a first down and 1 was for a touchdown. Very valuable catches he made. And then Worthy had a nice day too. He wasn't targeted on many deep throws, but I'll take 4 catches for 46 yards from him any day. Then the offense was 8 for 13 on third downs. That's a conversion rate of nearly 77%, which is phenomenal. The 2 things that could have been improved on was the red zone offense. They were just 2 of 5 inside the 20. But hey, tip of the cap to the Chiefs defense, who I know they allowed 30 points to the Panthers, but they did hold them to just 2 for 6 in the red zone. Both of these teams were flagged to hell and back, so cleaning some things up would be great. And again, while the Panthers didn't have an elite defense out there, I am happy to see the Chiefs put up 30 points. It looked really good, and you'll be able to carry that into this Friday's game against the Raiders. But speaking of great, here's a few more positive things to take note about. Andy Reid has now helped KC secure their 10th straight season of at least 10 wins on the year. That's really incredible, man. Shows how special times are in Kansas City right now. So enjoy every win, because An ugly W is definitely better than a pretty loss. And shout out to Spencer Schrader as well, the newly signed kicker who scored 12 points on the day. He had 3 field goals and 3 extra points, hitting them all. And you can't ask for much more than that. And honestly, yeah, there are some concerns about the close win, but just enjoy it and enjoy Thanksgiving as well with your fam before the Chiefs take on the Raiders on Black or Red Friday. After all, the parity in the league is crazy. And just this week during these games, the Steelers lost to the Browns, upset. The Texans lost to the Titans, upset. The Commanders lost to the Cowboys. They had their backup quarterback in Cooper Rush, upset. Then the Vikings barely beat the Bears, winning by 3 in overtime. It happens. Close games, upsets, all of it. However, the Chiefs got it done yet again, with Mahomes helping win another with the game on the line, proving why he's one of the best to ever do it. And speaking of Mahomes, after throwing 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions in his first 6 games, he's thrown 12 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions in the last 5. So it's safe to say the team on offense, at least especially, is trending in the right direction. That's going to be needed, in my opinion, if the defense continues to struggle. You combine that, though, with the fact that Pacheco and Amenahue should play this Friday, Butker will be back in a few weeks, and Hollywood Brown should also be back before January. Things are looking pretty good for the back-to-back Super Bowl champions. But hey, with all that being said, let me know your thoughts on the Chiefs' performance, the close nail-biting performance in the comments down below, along with your biggest takeaways and concerns. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those